Well, today, I want to invite you all to be thinking about one of the most precious gifts that you have been given, your time. How many of you measure your time either with this watch or with a calendar? For many of us, it kind of rules what it is we're going to do throughout the day. Well, what's today's date? What time is it? Is it time to go? Is it time to eat? Is it time to rest? Many of us have our daily lives set out as a routine. It's 5 a.m., it's time to wake up. It's 7 a.m., it's time to go to work. Is it lunchtime yet? It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Is it time to go home? It's 8 p.m. Can we go to bed yet? Oh, yes, you can, if your children don't sleep. It's one of those things. Our time and our calendars seem to always rule who it is we are. And yet, when we think about our lives, we also categorize our lives into different years and different moments. If we can go to our next slide. Based on our ages, we think about it in different ways. If you're under the age of 5, the most important thing that you have to worry about is having fun, being a kid. But then, at the age of 5, you get to go to that amazing thing called school. You get to go make friends. You get to go learn and grow. You get to understand more about what this world is all about. And then at the magical age of 18, somehow you become this adult that's supposed to have it all figured out. But also at 18, you have a choice. Do you go to work or do you continue in school? What is it you want to do? What is it you want the rest of your life to look like? For many 18-year-olds, there's 3 words that really resonate. I don't know. I don't know what it is I want to do with the rest of my life. I don't know what it is I'm going to be or what it is I want to do. But then there's something that we are going to do from the age of, probably 18 to 65, or maybe 22 to 65, we're going to work. We're going to work. That's a big chunk of your life if you ever think about that. But also in the midst of that time of working, you're supposed to find a spouse, maybe have kids, buy a house. There's going to be more of your life than just working. But how are you making time for each and every one of those aspects of your life? It's something that many of us need to pay attention to. But then at some point in our lives, generally it's around the age of 65, we finally declare, I'm tired. So much to the point where I want to retire. And you want to stop from that work and be able to do what it is you want to do in the rest of your life. So from the ages of 65 to 90, you're retired. But that doesn't mean you're done. It means you get to now decide what it is you're going to do. Now, some people do this so well, it seems seamless. Others struggle with, what am I supposed to do with my free time? From the time of 5, I was told what I was supposed to do in school. And when I went to work, I was told what I was supposed to do. And now that I'm done with work, what is it supposed to look like? This is how many of us think about our lives. However, we celebrate every single year a celebration, birthdays. An opportunity to recognize that we've made it one more lap around the sun. But it's also a moment of reflection as to understanding what is it we have done in the past year. What is it we are going to do in the year to come? If we go to our next slide, I want you to think about this in a new way. What if we thought about our lives in those years? What if we thought about our lives in the years that we are truly given? Now, each one of those boxes represents 1 year. For the ease of reading this, at the far right-hand side is 10. 1 decade that you've been on this world. Now, for those of you who are, haven't completed 1 decade yet, we'll get there, all right? I want you to think about this. As you think about your life and what it is you are going to do with your time here in this world, I want you to also begin to think of when that moment will end, when death will occur. Now, for the average United States citizen, you're going to make it to the ripe age of 79. So if you look at this graph, I gave you to 90. I gave you 11 more years than the average American. You're welcome. But I also gave it to you because for some people, they live to 100. They live beyond what it is we have expected to live. A gift that goes beyond what it is we have anticipated. As you look and you think about this graph, I want you to begin thinking about those very stages that we were just talking about. So if we go to the next slide, we've colored in the first 5 years of your life. If you're 5 years old, you're still only worried about fun. That's it. But you also get a chance to begin thinking about what school is going to look like. If any of you are 5 years old, you are blessed. You have your entire life ahead of you, of what it is you can do, what it is you will have the opportunity to do, what it is you will be able to see, enjoy, and partake in. Yet if we fast forward, and we go beyond 1 decade, and we're just now beginning to think about that second decade. Maybe you're 18 years old and you're going to graduate from high school. And people are asking you, what is it you want to do with the rest of your life? What do you want to do next? When you're 18 years old, look at how much of your life is still ahead of you. The opportunities, the chances, the ways in which you will live your life are numerous. For many of us, when we're 18 years old, we don't necessarily think about being 60 years old. We're more worried about what is 19 or 20 going to look like. Am I going to get the Camaro or the Mustang? Who am I going to invite to homecoming or to prom? Choices of life do not seem that major. Other things seem far more important. And yet, as you begin going further into your life, maybe you're a little bit older. You're 38 years old, like your pastor. You're getting to the middle of your life in which you're getting close to that over the hill number. And yet, it's also that moment in your life in which you're getting closer to that midlife crisis. That midlife crisis of, what have I done with my life? What am I going to do with my life? Where am I going to be? Is this really all life has to offer? What am I going to do next with the rest or the next half of my life? 40 years old doesn't seem that old to some of you. Some of you at 40 years old were still thinking, boy, I'm still in the thick of it. My kids are still running around keeping me young. I know exactly what I need to be doing and how it is I'm going to be doing it. My biggest concern right now is, what am I going to make for dinner? And yet, as we begin thinking about our lives, we even miss the point of how it is we're living the days, the years that we have been given. Everything seems to be going by so fast that when do we stop to reflect, to recognize what is happening around us? As we continue on our journey of life and faith, we jump. We find ourselves 60 years old. The house is paid off. The kids are out of the house, hopefully. In 5 more years, you're supposed to retire. What are you going to do? Have you planned for that yet? Do you have that hope, that dream that will fulfill you? As you begin thinking about your life in your 60s, you also begin realizing, I'm not as young as I once was. Now your body seems to be slowing down and reminding you, hey, maybe you might need to take 5 more extra minutes of rest today. All of a sudden, you're sitting in your recliner and you fall asleep, and an hour later you wake up and you realize, I haven't even eaten dinner yet. And yet, there's still so much more you could explore in this world. You begin recognizing the ways and opportunities in which you still want to do, still want to be a part of, still have those chances, those opportunities to actively be a part of this world. But what are you going to do with that time? What are you going to do with that energy? Are you only going to keep it for yourself? How is it you're going to share that with those around you, those who have been a part of your life, your community, your family, your friends, the complete strangers that do surround you? Because now at the age of 60, you have wisdom. How do I know that? You have gray hair. That's wisdom showing through. If we begin thinking about the next decade, we arrive at the age of 80. This is normally that year that I mentioned before, in which many people, this is their final year in this world. But not for all. Some, they did not even make it to 80. Others, when they arrive at 80, they're wondering, how much more longer will I be able to enjoy the beauty of this world? My family's busy. They have their own lives. Yet I don't want to draw them away from that life, but I also want to see them. At the age of 80, you seem to have your calendar filled not with work, but by visits to the doctor. You keep track of the day by how many pills are you taking. Did I take today's pills? Let me consult the calendar. At the age of 80, you begin wondering, how many more days, weeks, months, or even years will I have? You now begin looking at your life truly as the gift that it is. It's not until the age in which you come to these final days that you truly begin treasuring them. But for others, they also recognize that soon and very soon, we are going to see our Creator and our God. How will I welcome them? How will I enter into His presence? What will it mean? It's not until our final days, our final years, that we truly begin wrestling with those questions of what was the purpose of my life, that we truly begin wrestling with those answers. I want us to think about it in a different way. What if our graph was still blank, how would you live your life now? For many of you, it's not blank. You've already lived years of life, but that has also given you wisdom and understanding, experience of what it is you love and what it is you don't love, what it is you feel called to do and what it is you need to grow into. You've been a part of communities. You recognize that some people simply will push your button and not in a good way. You recognize, too, that there are others that just seem to bring life and love into your lives. As you look at your blank graph, how do you want to fill your time? What is it that you truly want to live your life for? But more importantly, what is it God is calling you to live your life for? For your time is your greatest asset that God has given to you. You will never have more of it than you do right here and right now. So what are you going to do with your time? How are you going to give it away? How are you going to spend it? You are the one who gets to decide. Am I going to sit down and watch the football game? Even though I yell at the television, it's going to have no impact on the game. It's up to you if you want to sit and make a phone call to a loved one. It's up to you on how and what you are going to do with your time. But there's two things I really want to point out to you. Those last few years in which people are raising questions are sometimes the most impactful questions that you can ask. I was blessed to be a chaplain in a nursing home, in which I got to sit and be with people in their final days, their final years in this world. And I would often get to ask them, what does life look like for you? And they would tell me about their experiences before they were there in the nursing home. As I look out among you, none of you are in the nursing home yet. You still get to decide what it is you're going to do, how it is you're going to live it. And there were two important aspects that truly resonated with the people that were there. How are you spending your time with God? And how are you spending time with God? It's that important distinction of with God and for God that we truly need to recognize. Spending time with God truly gave us this perspective of what it means to be at the cross. If we can go to our next slide, there we go. As we look upon the cross, when we spend time with God, we're truly understanding how it is God was entering into this world to remind us of the love, grace, mercy, and hope that God had created you to be a part of. To be able to have devotions with God. To be able to enter into Scripture. To be in Bible study. Not alone, but with others around you. To truly be able to understand the heart and mind of God and what it is God was calling you to be. So that then you would have a better understanding of your time for God. How it is you could serve others. How it is you could be a blessing unto others. Now, just last weekend, we got together as a community of people and we lived that out. In God's work, our hands, we gathered together and did projects to help out local organizations, national organizations, and international organizations. We worked together as a community to really have an impact, not just in our own lives, but in the lives of others. We truly shared what time for God would truly be. Even yesterday, As we gathered here for our block party, we reached out to our community to get to know others, to let them know that we are a community of God's peace and God's love in this very community, and that they could be a part of it as well. We shared in good food. We had fun. We also saw the next generation run around here and remind us what life is all about. Well, at least from the ages of 5 on down. Together, as we celebrate and know God's unending love, we gather together and are reminded of how it is we are living our lives and using this greatest gift that we have of our time. This week, I invite you all to be thinking not only about your calendar when you pull it out, not only about your watch as you're looking at it, but also think about the graph. Where are you? What are you living your life for? And what is God calling you to do today? Amen.